Hello, my name is Carl Greathouse, and this is my presentation on giving voice to values case 3-4 on Franklin Industries whistleblowers. So, in this case, we learn about a woman named Natalie. Natalie um, has discovered some unusual transactions with a manager within the firm. As she discusses them with the internal auditors and they investigate them, they discover a $5 million fraud within the firm. In response to her reporting this, Natalie's been demoted from assistant manager to a staff manager within her firm, which has made her upset. And she filed a complaint with HR, and the HR department has just responded to her, saying that not only have they determined that she was not retaliated against for reporting that, but also that there was no fraud at all, contrary to evidence uncovered by the internal auditors and evidence that Natalie has personal knowledge of. So there's a few ethical and professional values at stake here. So one is integrity. Obviously, this shows low integrity within the organization, that they're not willing to reward Natalie rather than demote her for reporting this. It also shows a low level of trust within the organization, trust for their employees. And this is a value that's important to accounting. Accounting is really built on trust, especially public accounting, but also private accounting. And there's a trust that shareholders that those that are in charge of their financials are going to report to them anything that is amiss, and that auditors will go and report to them also anything that is amiss. And that's something that's being violated here as well, because Natalie's trying to report it and management is blocking that. Another issue here is compliance. This is actually illegal. This is theft, essentially, from the shareholders. That is not being reported, that management's kind of sweeping under the rug. And it's not just a little theft, it's $5 million of transactions. Another thing is honesty. Accounting, very closely related to integrity and trust, is built on honesty, as well as management, and management is trustees of shareholders. And finally, justice. Natalie has been demoted for trying to do what's in the best interest of the shareholders and of her company. And that's something that is very unjust, and that Natalie needs to have remedied. So, as Natalie prepares to go before the board of directors, there's a few arguments that she can anticipate as to why maybe they shouldn't address this issue, or they should just sweep it under the rug. So one is that it'll make the company look bad, that it's not in the best interest of the shareholders anyway, because it'll just make their stock price fall. That's something that we see as one of the key indicators of integrity and ethical breakdown within organizations, is when they tend to focus too much on financials. Also, when they tend to focus on, because we're really good at this thing, maybe we can slack off a little bit in this area. We can be a little unethical here because we're very ethical here. Another issue is they may say our CEO knows best and he said to ignore it. That's another thing that we see in breakdowns of companies, is when CEOs, or when employees and weak board of directors, are just very submissive to the bosses and very loyal to them, as well as many other arguments that they could list. The important thing is that Natalie stay firm in her argument that this fraud needs to be addressed and that it needs to be reported to the shareholders properly. So, how Natalie should present her argument. A few things. So, first, she should remind the board of directors that it's their duty to address to the shareholders the presence of this fraud. Another thing is it's their legal duty. The SEC requires under the Sarbanes-Oxley Act that this kind of fraud be addressed. Finally, as a lever of her influence, Natalie should make it very clear that if they do not properly address this issue, she will make a complaint under the Sarbanes-Oxley Act, which gives her a means of recourse against the company, both for demoting her unfairly and also gives the company accountability for what they've done in sweeping this fraud under the rug.